Am I a bad wife because I fell in love with another man when my husband doesn't even look at me? I can't do this anymore. I'm done with my husband. It's just someone else makes me feel alive. I'm really losing my mind.
Camille sat on Minji's couch, hands wrapped around a cup of tea she hadn't touched in 20 minutes. The cup had gone cold. She didn't notice. Minji sat across from her in the armchair, leaning forward with her elbows on her knees, watching her friend with concern that had been building for months. Years, maybe. She'd watched Camille shrink, watched the light dim in her eyes, watched her apologize for existing. Can't do what? Minji asked gently, though she already knew. Any of it. Camille's voice was hollow, flat, like something essential had been carved out of her. The marriage, the pretending, the waiting for him to change, the hoping that if I just try harder, be better. Cook his favorite meals perfectly. Keep the house spotless. Dress the way he likes. Maybe he'll... Her voice cracked. Maybe he'll love me. Minji reached across the space between them, placed her hand over Camille's. The contrast of their skin, Minji's pale, Camille's rich dark brown, somehow made the gesture more poignant. Two women from different worlds, bound by friendship. Honey, he has a mistress. The words came out clinical, detached, like she was reading from a medical report. Her name is Yuna, 26, works in marketing, beautiful, Korean, petite, delicate, everything I'm not. Camille? I've known for weeks. Found the messages on his phone one night when he left it charging on the bathroom counter. Come back to bed, baby. With a heart emoji. Camille laughed. The sound bitter and broken. A heart emoji. He sends her heart emojis. Tells her she's beautiful. Calls her baby. He's never sent me a heart emoji in 3 years of marriage. Never calls me anything but my name. Sometimes not even that. Just you or her when he talks about me to others. Minji squeezed her hand tighter, saying nothing, letting her friend purge the poison. And you know what the worst part is? Camille finally looked up, her expressive almond-shaped eyes red-rimmed, and exhausted. The kind of tired that sleep couldn't fix. I'm having an affair too, so I have no right to be hurt, do I? I'm just as bad as him. Worse, maybe, because I know how much betrayal hurts, and I'm doing it anyway. That's not... I met someone. Camille's face transformed slightly, a ghost of warmth flickering across her elegant features, despite the pain. By accident, a wrong number text. I was trying to reach Ji-hoon, asking him to meet me because She stopped, shook her head, long natural black hair shifting around her shoulders. It doesn't matter what I wanted. He never showed up anyway. But this stranger answered instead. Told me he'd meet me. And he actually did. He showed up. And for the first time in 4 years, someone looked at me like I was a person. Not a burden. Not property. Not something to be tolerated or managed. A person. Are you in love with him? Minji asked quietly, already knowing the answer from the way Camille's whole face had softened. Camille's eyes filled with fresh tears. Yes. God help me, yes. Which makes me a hypocrite and an adulteress and everything I swore I'd never be. I stood in that church and made vows before God and everyone I loved, and now I'm breaking them. You're human. I made vows before God, Minji, sacred vows, in sickness and in health, for better or worse, till death do us part. Those words mean something. They're supposed to mean something. Her voice broke completely. What does it say about me that I can't keep them? Stop. Minji's voice was firm enough that Camille's eyes snapped to hers. Stop punishing yourself for having a normal human reaction to years of abuse. Camille flinched at the word like she'd been slapped. It's not. It is. Minji leaned forward further, intensity in every line of her body. Camille, I've watched you shrink for 3 years. Watched you disappear piece by piece. You used to paint. You had this whole portfolio, remember? Talked about maybe showing your work someday. Now, your brushes are packed away in boxes. You used to laugh, this big, beautiful laugh that filled a room. Now you cover your mouth when you smile like you're apologizing for taking up space. You used to have opinions on everything: politics, art, music, books. Now you preface everything with, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but like you need permission to have thoughts. Camille looked down at her hands, at the platinum wedding ring that suddenly felt like a shackle. You apologize constantly, Minji continued, relentless because someone needed to be. For breathing too loud. For cooking food he doesn't like even though you cooked what he requested. For wearing outfits he bought you that he then criticizes. You flinch when doors slam. You check your phone constantly to make sure you're not late getting home, even though he's never home on time himself. You walk on eggshells in your own house. That's not a marriage, sweetie. That's a prison. He's never hit me. The defense was automatic, rehearsed, like she'd said it 1,000 times to convince herself. Physical violence isn't the only kind that leaves scars. Minji's eyes were fierce now, protective. Has he ever made you feel stupid? Called you names? Told you you're too sensitive, too emotional, too much? Camille's silence was answer enough. Has he controlled your money? Kept you from working even though you wanted to? Made you depend on him for everything so you'd have no way to leave? Camille looked down at her cold tea, watching the surface completely still, the way she'd learned to keep herself. Has he threatened you? Your visa status? Your family? Used your faith against you? Weaponized your beliefs to keep you compliant? He says I'm difficult. Camille's voice was small, childlike. That I don't listen, that I should be grateful he saved me from being deported. That without him, I'm nothing. Just another illegal immigrant. He reminds me of that a lot. How much he's done for me. How I owe him. And you believe that? I don't know what I believe anymore. Camille set down the teacup with shaking hands, watching it rattle against the saucer. I just know I can't keep living like this. I wake up every morning and the first thing I feel is dread. Not peace. Not hope. Dread. Dread of saying the wrong thing at breakfast, cooking the wrong food for dinner, wearing the wrong outfit when his colleagues visit. I walk on eggshells in my own home. I've forgotten what it feels like to breathe without permission, to exist without apologizing for it. Minji moved from the armchair to the couch, sitting close beside Camille, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. Camille immediately leaned into her, starved for gentle touch, for comfort without conditions. Then leave him. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. Minji pulled her closer. It's terrifying. It's complicated. It's hard. But the decision itself is that simple. You decide you deserve better and you leave. Everything else, the logistics, the paperwork, the fear, that's all noise. The decision is simple. My visa depends on him. I'm here on a spousal visa. If he withdraws sponsorship, I'm illegal overnight. There are other ways to stay in Korea. Work visas, if you can find employment. Humanitarian visas, if you can prove abuse. How do I prove emotional abuse? There are no bruises, no hospital records, just years of words that cut but don't bleed. Words leave scars too. And there are people who understand that. Lawyers who specialize in this. I have no money. Everything's in his name. The apartment, the bank accounts, even my phone is on his plan. He gives me an allowance like I'm a child. Monitors every one I spend. I have nothing. Then you start over. People do it every day. You're smart, talented, capable. Am I? Camille's laugh was hollow. He's told me I'm useless so many times I'm starting to believe it. What can I do? I have a degree from years ago that's probably worthless now. No work experience because he wouldn't let me work. No portfolio because I stopped creating. Who's going to hire me? Someone who sees your worth. And even if it takes time, even if you have to start at the bottom. Isn't that better than this? Than dying slowly in a marriage that's killing your soul? Camille was quiet for a long moment. Then, he'll destroy me. He said he would. He'll tell my church I abandoned my marriage. He'll tell my family I'm a whore. He'll make sure I can never hold my head up again anywhere. Let him try. Minji's voice was steel. Let him tell whoever he wants. The people who love you, really love you, will believe you when you tell them the truth. The ones who don't weren't worth keeping anyway. My mother will be devastated. She was so proud when I married him. Korean son-in-law. Successful. Respectable. She bragged to everyone at church. If I divorce him, if he tells her I cheated, then you tell her the truth. That he was cruel. That he broke you down piece by piece. That you were dying and had to save yourself. She won't understand. She'll say marriage is hard. That I should pray more. Try harder. Submit more. Then that's her failing, not yours. Minji turned Camille to face her. You cannot set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. Not your mother, not your church, not him. You have to save yourself. Camille was fully crying now, shoulders shaking with years of suppressed sobs. I'm so tired, Minji. I'm so tired of being afraid, of walking on eggshells, of feeling like I'm not enough and never will be. Then stop being afraid. Be angry instead. I don't know how. Yes, you do. You've been swallowing your anger for years, pushing it down, smoothing it over, apologizing for it. Let it out. Feel it. Use it. Let it fuel you to get out of this prison. They sat in silence for a long moment, Camille crying while Minji held her, rocking, slightly, the way you comfort someone who's been broken. Finally, Camille pulled back, wiped her eyes with shaking hands. When she spoke, her voice was stronger, clearer. I want a divorce. Minji smiled, squeezed her hands. Good. I want to choose myself for once, not him, not what he wants, not what my mother wants or the church wants or anyone else wants. Me. I want to choose me. Yes. I want to paint again. I want to laugh without checking if it's too loud. I want to have opinions without apologizing for them. I want to exist without feeling like I'm asking too much by asking to be treated like a human being. You deserve all of that and more. I want to be with someone who sees me, who wants me, not what I can do for him or how I make him look. Someone who doesn't make me feel like I'm asking for the moon by asking to be loved. Camille's face was wet with tears, but her eyes were clear. I met someone who makes me feel that way. And maybe that's wrong. Maybe that makes me terrible. But I can't give it up. I can't go back to feeling dead inside. There's nothing terrible about wanting to feel alive. I'm going to divorce him. The words came out firm, decided. I don't know how yet. I don't know when or what it will cost me. But I'm going to do it. I'll help you. Whatever you need. A place to stay, money, a lawyer recommendation, anything. Camille looked at her friend, really looked at her. This woman who'd stuck by her through everything, who'd never judged, who'd waited patiently for Camille to find her strength. Thank you for not judging me, for the affair, for breaking my vows, for... There's nothing to judge. Minji's voice was fierce. You're surviving. You found moments of happiness in hell. That's not sin, Camille. That's self-preservation. That's choosing life over slow death. Camille nodded, feeling something shift and settle in her chest. A decision made, a line drawn in sand. She didn't know how she'd do it. Didn't know what it would cost. Didn't know if she'd survive it. But for the first time in 4 years, she knew what she wanted. Freedom. And she was going to fight for it. New to this series? The full story link is in the description. You'll need it to understand how we got to this moment. Welcome to Soul Afro Stories, where every choice has consequences and freedom comes with a price. Be honest. Have you ever stayed in something that was killing you because leaving felt scarier than staying? Comment yes or no. And what time zone are you in right now? I love seeing where my soul Afro fam is watching from. Here's what's wild. Camille just made a decision that's about to change everything. But she has no idea what's waiting for her at that Friday dinner. If you want to see what happens when four people with connected secrets end up in the same room, hit subscribe now and turn on notification. Part 4 is going to be absolutely unhinged. Let's get back to the story. The table was set perfectly. Jae-sung had ordered from one of Seoul's finest restaurants, premium Korean cuisine arranged beautifully on expensive china. Kalbi, japchae, various banchan, rice prepared just right, wine breathing on the sideboard, everything ready. Yuna fluttered around the dining area, adjusting chopsticks that didn't need adjusting, smoothing a tablecloth that was already smooth. She was wearing a beautiful rose-colored dress, makeup perfect, practically vibrating with nervous energy. He'll be here any minute, she said for the third time, checking her phone. Traffic must be bad. Jae-sung stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, hands in his pockets, watching Seoul's evening lights begin to glow. That uneasy feeling sat heavy in his chest. The same feeling that had been there since he'd met Ji-hoon. Uncle, you'll be nice, right? Give him a real chance? I'm always nice, he said mildly, though they both knew that wasn't quite true. I mean it. First impressions matter to you. I know that. But he's good. You'll see. Yuna checked her phone again. 7:45 p.m. Jae-sung said nothing. In his world, being late to an important dinner was a sign of disrespect, of not valuing the other person's time. It told you everything you needed to know about someone. 8 p.m. came and went. Yuna tried calling. Straight to voicemail. 8:15 p.m., another call. Voicemail again? Maybe something came up, Yuna said, voice getting higher, more anxious. An emergency or 8:30 p.m.? Jae-sung walked to the dining table, looked at the cooling food, the effort Yuna had put into this evening. Looked at his niece's face, the hope fading, being replaced by embarrassment and hurt. Yuna, he's coming. He probably just got caught up at work. You know how demanding his job is. He's finalizing that campaign strategy and... Yuna. Jae-sung's voice was gentle but firm. He's not coming. You don't know that. Maybe his phone died. Maybe her phone rang. She lunged for it. See? It's... Her face fell. It's not him. The phone rang again 30 minutes later. Still not Ji-hoon. By 9 p.m., Yuna was crying, mascara running, sitting on the couch while Jae-sung packed up the untouched food. I'm so sorry, Uncle. I'm so embarrassed. I don't understand. He was so excited about this dinner. He wouldn't just not show up unless something serious. Stop making excuses for him. Jae-sung sat beside her, pulled her close. He stood you up. He stood us both up. No call, no text, no explanation. That tells you who he is. Maybe there's a reason. There's always a reason. The question is whether it's good enough. He tilted her chin up. In my world, if someone doesn't show for an important meeting, they don't get a second chance. It shows disrespect. Shows they don't value your time or the relationship. But he's not in your world. He's just what? A politician who wants my connections and my money? Who's asking me to help him with business opportunities? Jae-sung's voice was harder now. People show you who they are, Yuna. Believe them. She cried harder, and he held her, angry on her behalf. Angry at himself for not trusting his instincts from the beginning. Camille opened the apartment door, exhausted from hours of talking with Minji, but feeling clearer than she had in years. Ji-hoon was in the living room, dressed in an expensive charcoal suit, checking his watch, grabbing his keys. He looked up when she entered, face immediately darkening. Where the hell have you been? Out with Minji. Camille set down her purse, not bothering to make her voice apologetic. For 6 hours? Doing what? Talking. About what? Camille looked at him. This man who'd spent 3 years breaking her down, who was about to go meet his mistress and pretend to be single. Go enjoy yourself, she said, voice flat and tired. With your lover, as usual. Soon you'll be free to do whatever you want with whoever you want. Ji-hoon's face went red. What did you just say to me? You heard me. Go to your dinner. Go to Yuna. I don't care anymore. How dare you? He stepped toward her, voice rising. After everything I've done for you, saved you from deportation, given you this life, and you stand there and what? Camille's voice rose to match his, years of silence breaking. I should be grateful? Grateful for what? For being controlled? For being made to feel worthless every single day? For, you are nothing without me. Ji-hoon was yelling now, face inches from hers. Nothing, you understand me? I made you, I saved you, and this is how you repay me? With disrespect and... The room started spinning. Camille's vision blurred, tunneling. The edges went dark. She reached out for something to steady herself, but found only air. Ungrateful, worthless. Her knees buckled. How dare you speak to me? The floor rushed up to meet her. Everything went black. Camille? Camille! Ji-hoon stood over her collapsed body, his anger instantly shifting to panic. She was on the floor, unconscious, her face pale, breathing shallow. Shit! Shit! He knelt beside her, hand on her shoulder, shaking her. Camille, wake up. Wake up. Nothing. He grabbed his phone, started to dial emergency services, then stopped. Thought about it. An ambulance would ask questions, create a scene. Neighbors would see. He scooped her up. She was lighter than he expected, like she'd lost weight, carried her to the door, grabbed his keys, got her into the car, drove to the nearest hospital, mind racing. This was her fault, stressing him out, making him yell. If she'd just been home on time, been respectful, none of this would have happened. But also, she'd collapsed. What if something was really wrong? What if she... No, she was fine, just being dramatic. Women did this, fainted for attention. But what if she wasn't fine? He drove faster. Camille woke up slowly, the harsh, fluorescent lights making her squint. Sterile smell, beeping machines, hospital. A nurse appeared, smiled kindly. You're awake. How are you feeling? What happened? Camille's voice was rough, throat dry. You fainted. Your husband brought you in. We've run some tests. The doctor will be in shortly to discuss. Her husband. The words felt wrong. Ji-hoon appeared in the doorway, still in his suit, looking tired and annoyed. You're awake, finally. The nurse left them alone. What happened? Camille tried to sit up, head pounding. You fainted, collapsed on the floor. I had to bring you here. Tests? Doctor said extreme stress. They're running more tests. Results will be out soon. He checked his watch. I missed an important dinner because of this. Of course that's what he cared about. I'm sorry, Camille said automatically, then hated herself for it. You should be. Do you have any idea how important tonight was? And instead, I'm here because you couldn't handle a simple conversation without being dramatic. I didn't faint on purpose. Didn't you? His eyes were cold. Convenient timing. Right when I was leaving. Right when you knew it would cause maximum disruption. Camille stared at him, wondering how she'd ever thought he loved her. A doctor entered. Young, professional, kind eyes. Mrs. Park, I'm Dr. Kim. How are you feeling? Tired. Headache. That's normal after fainting. We've run preliminary tests. Your blood pressure was very low, which explains the syncope. We've also run additional blood work to check for anemia, thyroid issues, blood sugar levels. Those results should be back within 24 or 48 hours. So what caused it? Ji-hoon demanded. Most likely, extreme stress and exhaustion. Has your wife been under unusual stress recently? Ji-hoon's jaw tightened. Camille said nothing. I recommend rest, hydration, avoiding stressful situations. The doctor looked between them, seeming to sense the tension. The results will be out very soon, but please, rest. Thank you, Camille said. After the doctor left, Ji-hoon stood. Get dressed. We're leaving. What about the test results? They'll call when they're ready. I'm not sitting in a hospital all night waiting for tests that will probably just confirm what we already know. You're stressed and dramatic. Camille changed back into her clothes, moving slowly, head still spinning slightly. They left the hospital. Ji-hoon walked ahead to get the car. Camille stood in the entrance, looking at the taxis lined up outside. She made a decision. Got into a taxi instead. Where to, miss? The driver asked. She gave him her address, leaned back, closed her eyes. Her phone buzzed. Ji-hoon, where are you? I'm taking a taxi home. Get back here, now. I'm already in the taxi. I'll see you at home. You deliberately left without me. After I rushed you to the hospital, after I missed my important dinner. This is the thanks I get? She turned off her phone. Let him be angry. She was too tired to care. Friday, 10:30 p.m., Ji-hoon arrived home 20 minutes after Camille, fury radiating off him. She was sitting on the couch, still in her clothes, staring at nothing. You left. His voice was low, dangerous. You deliberately left me at the hospital. I took a taxi. I didn't think you'd care. Didn't think I'd care? He threw his keys on the counter, the sound sharp and violent. I rushed you to the emergency room, waited while they ran tests, missed the most important dinner of my life, and you sneak off in a taxi like I'm some stranger you're avoiding? Camille looked at him, really looked at him. I didn't know you cared about me. I thought you'd prefer to be with your lover instead. Isn't that where you were going anyway? The words hung in the air like grenades. How dare you? How dare I? Camille stood, surprised by her own steadiness. How dare I what? Tell the truth? Say out loud what we both know? You have no right to question your husband. Silence. That's what I thought. Camille walked toward the guest room. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. We're not done. Yes, we are. For tonight, we are. She paused at the door. The doctor said I need rest and to avoid stress. You're the biggest source of stress in my life. So I'm going to sleep. Alone. In a locked room. And you're going to leave me alone. She went in, closed the door, locked it. Heard him punch the wall outside. Heard him cursing. Heard him finally walk away. She lay down on the guest bed, fully clothed, staring at the ceiling. Reached for her phone, turned it back on. Texted Jae-sung, I fainted today. Ended up in the hospital. I'm okay, but I really miss you, and I wish I could see you right now. His response came within seconds. Are you safe right now? Yes. What did the doctor say? Extreme stress. They ran more tests. Results in a day or two. Let me help you. Come away with me. 3 days. You need rest. Real rest. Away from him. I can't just leave. Yes, you can. Pack a bag. She stared at the message, at this man who'd shown her more care in a few months than her husband had in years. For the first time in years, she believed someone would actually take care of her. Saturday morning. Yuna hadn't slept. She'd spent the entire night going between fury and worry, checking her phone, waiting for Ji-hoon to call back. When her phone finally rang at 10 a.m., she answered on the first ring. Where were you last night? At the hospital. I'm so sorry, my love. Ji-hoon's voice was tired, frustrated. The doctor said stress. They're running more tests, but honestly, I think she was being dramatic. Wanted attention. Ji-hoon, I was humiliated last night. Do you understand that? I had my uncle prepare this elaborate dinner. I talked you up for weeks, and you didn't show. No call beforehand. What's my business if she fainted? I'm sure she did it on purpose, he said. After we'd already been waiting for over an hour, after the food was cold, and my uncle was looking at me like I was a fool for believing in you. Yuna, do you know what he said? Her voice was getting higher, tears threatening. He said people show you who they are and to believe them. He said in his world, missing an important meeting means you don't get a second chance. That's harsh. That's who he is. Yuna was pacing her apartment now, energy with nowhere to go. You don't understand. My uncle isn't some regular businessman. He's powerful, connected, the kind of man who doesn't give second chances easily. First impressions are everything to him. And your first impression was not showing up. Then she hung up. Jihoon texted her an address, a hotel in Gangnam. Nice but discreet. Yuna knew she shouldn't go. Knew she should stay firm, make him work harder to earn back her trust. But she missed him, and she was tired of being angry. She went. He was waiting in the room when she arrived. Had ordered room service, champagne, strawberries, her favorite things. I'm so sorry about last night, he said immediately, pulling her into his arms. You have no idea how sorry. It was humiliating. I know, and I'll make it right. I promise. He tilted her face up, looked into her eyes with that intensity that had made her fall for him in the first place. You're the most important person in my world. I need you to believe that. Then why did it feel like I wasn't important enough to call before we'd been waiting an hour? Why was she your priority? Because I was panicking. She collapsed and I reacted. I wasn't thinking clearly. All I could think was getting her to the hospital, making sure she was okay, so I could still make it to dinner. But then the test took forever and he ran a hand through his hair, looking genuinely stressed. I fucked up. I should have called you immediately. I should have communicated better. You deserve that. It was the first time he'd actually taken responsibility without making excuses. Thank you, Yuna said quietly, for acknowledging that. Will you forgive me? She wanted to make him wait, wanted to hold on to her anger a bit longer. But she was tired, and he looked genuinely remorseful, and she loved him. Yes. But Jihoon, you can't do this again. My uncle, he won't give you a third chance. He barely wants to give you a second. Then help me. Please. Talk to him. Convince him to give me one more dinner. I'll be perfect. I'll show him exactly who I am and why I'm worthy of you. Yuna nodded slowly. I'll try. Thank you. He kissed her, soft at first, then deeper, his hands moving to the zipper of her dress. She should stop him. Should stay focused on the serious conversation. But it had been days since they'd been together, and she'd missed this. Missed him. They made love on the expensive hotel sheets, and for a while, Yuna forgot about the missed dinner, about her uncle's skepticism, about the wife Jihoon was supposedly divorcing. Afterward, lying in his arms, she brought it up again. When is your divorce finalized? She felt him tense slightly. Soon. My lawyer said just a few more weeks of paperwork. Can I see the papers? I just feel better knowing why. His voice went cooler. Don't you trust me? Of course I trust you. I just want to know the timeline, for planning, for us. The timeline is soon. Very soon. And then we can start our real life together. He kissed her forehead. Be patient with me, baby. I know this is hard, but it'll be worth it. Yuna nodded against his chest, pushing down the small voice that said her uncle was right to be skeptical. Saturday evening. Yuna showed up at Jae Sung's penthouse unannounced, the way she'd done since she was 15 and needed a place to escape to. He took one look at her face and poured them both tea. You saw him. How did you? She sighed. Of course you know. You have that look. The one you get when you've forgiven someone you shouldn't have. Uncle, I'm not judging. I'm observing. He handed her a cup. He loves me. Jae-sung sat across from her. What did you come here to ask me? Yuna looked at her uncle, this man who'd raised her, who knew her better than anyone. Another dinner. He wants another chance to meet you properly, to make a good impression. No. Uncle, please. Yuna. He missed the first one. No call beforehand. No proper apology. That tells me everything I need to know about how much he values this relationship. He had an emergency, convenient timing. You think he made it up? I think the timing was very convenient, and I think a man who really cared would have found a way to communicate, even in an emergency. Yuna set down her teacup, fighting tears. Why won't you just give him a chance? I did. He wasted it. One more. Please, just one more dinner. If he messes it up again, I'll... She stopped, not knowing what she'd do. I'll listen to you, about everything. But please, let me prove to you that he's good, that he's worth it. Jae-sung looked at his niece, seeing the desperation in her eyes, knowing she was in too deep to see clearly. One more, he finally said. But Yuna, if he misses this one, or if he shows me any disrespect, that's it. No more chances. Agreed? Agreed. She hugged him. Thank you, Uncle. You won't regret this. He already did. But for her, he'd give Ji-hoon one more chance to prove every instinct Jae-sung had about him was right. He's inviting me away for 3 days. Minji looked up from her coffee. And you said? I'm going. Good. Minji, I'm terrified. Of course you are, but you're doing it anyway. That's what bravery is. Camille played with her coffee cup, not drinking. I fainted, and Ji-hoon had to take me to the hospital and... Wait, what? You fainted? Camille explained. The fight, the collapse, the hospital. Ji-hoon's fury that she'd made him miss his important dinner. Oh my God. Camille, that's your body shutting down. That's what happens when stress becomes too much. You have to get out. I know, that's why I'm going. Smart man, and he's taking you to paint? He found an art studio, private, just for me. Camille's voice broke slightly. No one's ever done something like that for me. Just because they wanted to see me happy. Then go, pack a bag, leave a note, and go remember who you are. What do I tell Ji-hoon? The truth. That you need time away, that you'll be back, nothing more. You don't owe him explanations. He'll be furious. Let him. What's he going to do? Be more controlling, more abusive? He's already at maximum. Let him rage. You'll be somewhere he can't touch you. Camille nodded, decision solidifying. I'm going to do it, this week. I'll tell him, I don't know. I'll figure it out, but I'm going. Call me when you're safe. And Camille, turn off your phone. All 3 days. Don't let him ruin it. Camille packed a small bag, clothes, toiletries, the basics. Her hands shook the whole time. She could hear Ji-hoon in his office on a phone call about the campaign, laugh at something someone said, the laugh he never used with her. She wrote a note. I need time away. I'll be back in 3 days. Don't look for me. Put it on the kitchen counter. Tomorrow, she'd walk out that door. Tomorrow, she'd choose herself. Tomorrow, everything would change. Jae-sung's car was waiting at the curb. Expensive, black, windows tinted. He got out when he saw her, took her bag, opened the door for her. You came, he said, like he'd half expected her to change her mind. I came. He drove them out of Seoul towards Seongsu-dong, toward the studio he'd prepared. Camille watched the city pass by, feeling like she was watching her old life disappear in the rearview mirror. How are you feeling? Jae-sung asked. Terrified, guilty, free, all at once. That's normal. Is it? She laughed shakily. I just walked out on my husband, left a note like I'm some teenager running away from home. I'm 30 years old. I shouldn't be doing this. You're 30 years old and you're saving your own life. You should absolutely be doing this. She looked at him. This dangerous man who'd somehow become her lifeline. Thank you for this. For caring when you didn't have to. I care because of who you are, not because I have to, because I want to. She reached across the console, took his hand. They drove in silence, her hand in, his, toward 3 days of freedom. Ji-hoon was reviewing polling data when his secretary buzzed. Sir, there's a Minji Kim here to see you. She says it's about your wife? Ji-hoon frowned. What the hell? Send her in. Minji walked in, and he could see immediately she was nervous. Good. She should be. What do you want? I wanted to give you this. She handed him a folded piece of paper. Camille asked me to deliver it if you called looking for her. His stomach dropped. Where is she? I don't know. She didn't tell me. He unfolded the paper. Read the note. I need time away. I'll be back in 3 days. Don't look for me. She left? His voice was rising. She just left? She needed space. I don't care what she needed. He stood towering over Minji. Where is she? I told you. I don't know. Bullshit. He slammed his hand on the desk. You know exactly where she is. You're her friend. She tells you everything. Where is my wife? I don't. No. Minji stood her ground despite the fear in her eyes. And even if I did, I wouldn't tell you. She needed to get away from you. From the stress. From everything. She fainted, Ji-hoon. Her body gave out. She needs rest. She needs to come home. Now. She'll be back in 3 days. That's what she said. Just let her have this. Get out. Ji-hoon, get out. Minji left quickly, and Ji-hoon stood in his office, rage building. She left. Again. Without permission. Without explanation. He tried calling her phone, straight to voicemail. Of course. She turned it off. 3 days. She said 3 days. The art studio was everything Jae-sung had promised and more. Converted warehouse space with soaring ceilings, north-facing floor-to-ceiling windows, flooding the space with perfect natural light. Hardwood floors worn smooth by decades of artists. White walls ready for splatter. And in the center, easels holding blank canvases of every size. A long work table covered with supplies. Professional grade oils, acrylics, watercolors, brushes from tiny detail work to broad house painting strokes, palette knives, mixing palettes, everything an artist could dream of. Camille stood in the center of the space, turning slowly, tears already streaming down her face. You did all this for me? Jae-sung leaned against the doorframe, watching her with soft eyes. I wanted to see you create. See you remember who you are? I don't even know if I remember how. It's been 4 years. What if I've forgotten? What if I was never any good and just thought I was? Then you're not good, so what? He pushed off the doorframe, came to stand beside her. Stop thinking about good or bad, success or failure. Just paint. For you. For the joy of it. For the act of creation itself. She approached the supply table like approaching something holy, something she'd lost the right to touch. Her hand trembled as she picked up a brush, mid-size, good for detail, but also broad strokes. The weight of it was both familiar and foreign, like greeting an old friend after years of silence. What if I can't? Her voice was small, scared. You can. Jae-sung's voice was firm, certain. Stop thinking, just paint. Camille stood in front of a blank canvas, brush in hand, fear and longing warring in her chest. First brushstroke, tentative, uncertain, barely touching the canvas. A whisper of blue. Second, bolder, more confident. A sweep of gold. Or third, she stopped thinking entirely. Colors bloomed across the canvas like flowers opening to sun. No plan, no structure, No thought about composition or technique or whether it was good. Just emotion pouring out through pigment and movement and the physical act of creation. Blues bleeding into golds. The sadness of her marriage mixing with the hope of escape. Reds cutting through blacks, the rage she'd swallowed for years finally released, finally given form. Whites creating space and breath. The freedom she was starting to taste, starting to believe in. She painted for 4 hours straight, lost completely in the work. Lost in a way she'd forgotten she could be lost. Lost in the best possible way, where time disappears and self disappears, and there's nothing but the work, the canvas, the color, the act of making something from nothing. When she finally stepped back, the canvas was covered in abstract swirls of color. It wasn't technically perfect. The composition was chaotic. The colors sometimes clashed, sometimes fought each other. But it was honest, raw, real. It was pain and hope and rage and joy all bleeding together the way they actually existed in life. Messy and complicated and impossible to separate cleanly. It was her. "It's beautiful," Jae-sung said from behind her, where he'd been watching silently the entire time, not interrupting, just witnessing her rebirth. She laughed, wiping paint-smeared hands on the apron she'd found hanging by the door. "It's a mess. It's honest. That makes it beautiful." She turned to look at him. This man who saw her, really saw her, who'd rented an art studio just to watch her create, who asked for nothing in return except her happiness. "I forgot," she said, voice thick with emotion. "I forgot what this felt like. Being so absorbed, I lose track of time. Being so focused, everything else disappears. Just existing in the moment of creation." He pulled her close, not caring about the paint on her hands, in her hair, probably on her face. "Then don't forget again. Promise me you won't forget again." She pressed her face to his chest, to the dragon tattoo she could feel through his shirt. "I promise." Those 3 days were the most beautiful days of her life. She painted abstract pieces full of color and emotion, processing years of pain through pigment. She painted Seoul's skyline from the studio windows, the city that had become both her prison and her possibility. She painted Jae-sung, his hands with their scars and stories, his profile sharp and beautiful. The dragon tattoo she'd come to know by heart. They both explored Seongsu-dong's trendy neighborhood, holding hands openly on the street with no fear of being seen, no checking over her shoulder. Coffee shops, where they lingered for hours. Vintage bookstores, where she rediscovered her love of poetry. Small galleries, where they looked at other people's art, and she started to believe maybe, someday, hers could hang on walls too. They cooked together in the studio's small kitchenette, simple food made special by laughter and wine and the absence of tension. Music playing from his phone, dancing in the kitchen while vegetables roasted. Normal couple things she'd never experienced, had started to think didn't exist outside of movies. They made love on the floor between canvases, paint still wet on the walls around them, on the old velvet sofa tucked in the corner, against the windows overlooking the city, curtains, open to the night, feeling wild and free and alive, without guilt, without shame, without the weight of feeling unwanted or used or like a duty to be performed. Each night, falling asleep, tangled together, her head on his tattooed chest, his heartbeat steady beneath her ear, feeling safer than she'd felt in years. On their last night together, they lay on that old sofa, naked under a soft blanket, her head on his chest, his fingers trailing patterns on her shoulder. "I don't want to go back," Camille whispered into the darkness. "Then don't." "Now I have to. For now, but..." She propped herself up on one elbow, looked at him seriously in the dim light from the street lamps outside. "When I go back, I'm telling him I want a divorce. I've decided. This weekend proved it to me. I can't go back to that half-life. Not after remembering what actually living feels like. Jae-sung's hand cupped her face, thumb tracing her cheekbone with infinite gentleness. Are you sure? It won't be. Easy. He'll fight you. I know. He'll threaten me, try to control me, use every weapon he has, my visa, my family, my church, everything. But I don't care anymore. Her eyes were fierce, determined. I'd rather be poor and free than comfortable and trapped. I'd rather struggle and breathe than have everything and suffocate. You won't be poor. I'll make sure. No. She stopped him gently. I need to do this myself. Stand on my own feet. I can't go from depending on him to depending on you. I need to know I can survive alone. That I'm not just trading one cage for another, even if yours is made of gold instead of iron. You're not alone. There's a difference between depending on someone and accepting help from someone who loves you. I know, but I still need to prove to myself that I can do it. That I'm not the worthless, incapable person he's told me I am for years. You're not. You never were. I'm starting to believe that again. She smiled, the expression still, feeling new, unpracticed. This weekend, these 3 days, you gave me back myself. You reminded me I'm more than just a wife, more than just a role to play. I can create, I can think, I can exist as a whole person. I'll never be able to repay that. There's nothing to repay. Seeing you happy, seeing you paint, watching you come alive, that's all the payment I need. There's something. Jae-sung's expression went serious, a shadow crossing his face. When everything settles, when the divorce is final and the dust clears and you're free, I need to tell you something. About what I really do, who I really am in this city, the world I actually live in. Fear flickered in her eyes, but she didn't look away. Are you dangerous? Yes. Will you hurt me? Never. But others, yes. I've done things. Dark things. Things that would shock you. Things that can't be undone. Have you killed people? Her voice was steady despite the fear. He didn't answer. He was quiet. She should have been horrified by his silence. Should have pulled away. Should have run. Instead, she kissed him. Then, when the time comes, you'll tell me everything. All of it. And I'll decide what I can live with. She looked into his eyes. But I'm choosing you. Whatever darkness you're carrying, whatever you've done, I'm choosing you. We'll face it together. He held her tighter. This woman who was choosing him despite knowing he was dangerous. Despite knowing he'd done terrible things. I don't deserve you. Maybe not, but you have me anyway. They made love again. Slower this time, in the shower, tender and fierce all at once, sealing the promise. Together. Whatever came next, they'd face it together. Camille stood outside her apartment building, small bag in hand, stomach churning with dread. 3 days away felt like 3 years. Like she'd become a different person and was now returning to a life that didn't fit anymore. She unlocked the apartment door, stepped inside. The lights were off, but she could see his silhouette. Ji-hoon sat in the living room, in the dark, glass of whiskey in hand, exactly like before, waiting. Like a spider in a web. Welcome back, my prodigal wife. His voice was too calm, too controlled. The voice he used right before destroying someone in a negotiation. Camille set down her bag, closed the door with a soft click that echoed too loud in the silence. Her heart hammered, but she kept her spine straight, shoulders back. The woman who'd painted for 4 hours straight, who'd walked through Seoul holding hands with her lover, who'd remembered what strength felt like. That woman didn't cower. Where were you? Away. Thinking. Thinking about what? My life, my choices, my future, what I actually want instead of what I'm supposed to want. Ji-hoon stood slowly, deliberately, moving into the light from the window. His face was cold, calculating, and she could see he'd spent 3 days planning this confrontation, sharpening his weapons. And what do you want, Camille? She took a breath. said the words that would change everything. A divorce. The silence stretched between them like a chasm opening. Then he laughed, dark, cruel, the sound of someone who holds all the cards and knows it. A divorce. That's rich. I'm serious. No. He stepped closer, each word deliberate. You're delusional. You think you can just leave me? After everything I've done for you? You mean after everything you've done to me? His hand shot out fast as a snake, gripped her arm, not hitting, but controlling, fingers digging into her flesh hard enough to leave marks. Watch your mouth. Camille wrenched her arm free, stumbling back a step, heart racing but refusing to break eye contact. I want a divorce. I'm done living like this. I'm done being afraid. You're done when I say you're done. Jihoon began circling her slowly, like a predator circling wounded prey. Let me explain something to you, since you seem confused about your position in this relationship. Your visa, sponsored by me. Your legal status in this country, dependent on me. Every single one you spend, from my accounts. The roof over your head, my apartment. You have nothing without me. You are nothing without me. Then I'll have nothing. I don't care anymore. Oh, you will care. He smiled, cold and cruel and calculated. You know what else I'll have? Information. Like where you were this weekend. Who you were with. Her face went pale despite her resolve. That's right. I'm not stupid, Camille. You think I don't know you weren't alone? My colleague saw you months ago with some man. Korean. Dangerous looking. Expensive clothes. Covered in tattoos. I'm guessing that's where you were this weekend. In his bed. In his arms. Breaking your sacred marriage vows. You don't know anything. I know enough. He poured more whiskey, taking his time, making her wait, enjoying her discomfort. Let me paint a very clear picture for you. You file for divorce. I immediately, and I mean within the hour, pull my visa sponsorship. You have 30 days to leave Korea. Maybe less if I make certain phone calls to certain people in immigration. Back to LA with nothing. No money, no job, no prospects, no way to ever return. I'll find a way. No, you won't, because I'll make absolutely certain that immigration knows you were cohabitating with another man while married to me. You know what that is? Visa fraud. They take that very, very seriously. They'll ban you from re-entry for 10 years. Maybe permanently. You'll never see your precious Korea again. Never see your tattooed boyfriend again. Never. Stop. I'm just getting started. He stepped closer, voice dropping to something intimate and cruel. Here's another fun fact. Does your church know that a married woman left her husband's home for 3 days? Without permission? Without explanation? Her blood went cold, actual ice in her veins. What would Pastor Kim say? What would the congregation think? A married woman, gone for 3 nights. Phone deliberately turned off so her husband couldn't reach her in case of emergency. Staying with God knows who, doing God knows what. He tilted his head, enjoying the fear in her eyes. I could tell them you abandoned your marriage, broke your sacred vows before God and the entire church, committed adultery, brought shame on yourself and everyone who vouched for you. You have a mistress, Camille said through clenched teeth, finding her voice despite the terror. You've been cheating on me for months. Don't you dare lecture me about vows. Do I? Prove it. I saw the messages on your phone, which you accessed by invading my privacy, going through my phone without permission. A wife spying on her husband. Very becoming. He shrugged casually. And besides, I'm a man. It's different. That's complete bullshit. That's reality, sweetheart. He drained his whiskey, set down the glass with deliberate care. Here's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to stay in this marriage. You're going to play the role of perfect, devoted wife. Because I'm working on something very, very big right now. Something that requires a stable, respectable family man image. Your political campaign? Exactly. Well done. Gold star. Sarcasm dripped from every word. I need to present as a family man. Stable, responsible, happily married. You will smile at campaign events. You will be charming and gracious to donors. You will stand beside me at rallies and look at me with adoring eyes. You will cause zero scandals, zero drama, zero problems whatsoever. And if I don't, then I destroy you. He stepped fully into her personal space, close enough that she could smell the whiskey on his breath, could see the coldness in his eyes. Your visa, your reputation, your family, oh yes, your family. You think I won't call your mother? Your siblings? Tell them their daughter and sister is a whore who abandoned her marriage for some Korean gangster she barely knows? Tell them you brought shame on the family name? Make sure they know exactly what kind of person you really are? You wouldn't. Try me. His voice was deadly quiet now, more frightening than when he yelled. I will bury you, Camille. I will make you wish you'd never been born. You will have nothing. Be nothing. Go nowhere. You'll be deported back to LA with everyone you know thinking you're a disgrace and a failure. All because you thought you could leave me. All because you forgot who holds all the power in this relationship. I hate you, she whispered, the words ripped from somewhere deep and true. I don't care. He stepped back, adjusted his suit jacket like they'd just finished a pleasant business meeting instead of him threatening to destroy her life. You belong to me, legally, financially, completely. And you will play your role or I will destroy everything. And everyone you love. Your choice. Camille had spent 3 days remembering who she was, remembering what strength felt like, creating art that poured her truth onto canvas, being loved by someone who saw her as a whole person, not property to be managed. She couldn't go back. She wouldn't. Not to the half-life, not to the slow death, not to being small and scared and silent. Do your worst, she said, voice steady despite the tears still wet on her face. Excuse me? You heard me. Camille stepped fully into the room, shoulders back, spine straight, meeting his eyes with unflinching defiance. Do your worst. Hold up. Did she just say that? Do your worst. After 4 years of silence, 4 years of being controlled, threatened, diminished, Camille just looked her abuser dead in the eye and said the 3 words that change everything. But let's be real. Jihoon does have weapons. She just declared war on a man who holds every card. And here's what makes this even more insane. Yoona just convinced her uncle to give Jihoon one more dinner, one more chance. And those hospital test results? Still pending. What if she's... Drop your wildest theory below. Where are you watching from? I see you, Global Fam. Comment your country plus your prediction. Team Camille, fight back, or Team Run while you can? Let me know. Soul Afro Stories, fam. See you in part 4. And trust me, nobody's ready for what's coming.